With January comes a new month, a new year, but what effect did it have on my book sales? Stay tuned to find out. So December and Q4 as a whole was absolutely incredible. The growth, most likely due to people buying presents, was huge. November and December especially saw great increases in book sales across pretty much all of my titles. The ads were running really well and very profitably, but I knew that that was likely to end come January. And that's because everyone's done their Christmas shopping, and now it's probably more likely that they're tightening the purse strings for a few months at least. So strap yourselves in, because it's a little bit of a rough month. So first, let's take a quick look at the growth at the end of last year. You can see in November and December the huge growth in both orders and also in profit. I almost made $6,000 in profit alone in December. Now, I was expecting a drop-off in January. If you want to find out what that drop-off was, you need to stay tuned for just a little bit longer. But first, taking a look at my January goals. I wanted to publish 6 books, which I achieved. I wanted to launch my new website, which I managed to do. And I wanted to achieve 900 book orders. Now that was just a finger in the air because I didn't really know what to expect for January, but I was being quite ambitious with that target, and I'm happy to say that we hit that. Going on to the profit for the month, I set myself $1,500 and we didn't quite manage that. And that's mostly due to my ad spend rather than my income for the month. Looking at my publishing overview, I published 6 books on Amazon. On my Etsy shop, I had 5 new Etsy listings and 1 sale. And on YouTube, I had almost 40,000 views, and I'm also up to 13,700 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing. If you've not done so yet, but you want to show the support, click that subscribe button now. But getting back to the figures, let's look at how many books I sold in January. On Amazon KDP in January of 2024, I sold just over 1,000 books. The goal that I set myself was 900, so I'm really happy to hit that target. But if we just zoom out and have a look at what that looks like over the last 90 days, you can see the huge drop off from December. So the sales seem to be going back to sort of end of October, early November levels, which is still a really good base level. In terms of marketplaces, the majority of my sales came from the United States, with the United Kingdom and Canada following behind. As you can see there, most of my book sales are print, and I just had a couple of ebook sales as well. Now, what did that look like in terms of dollars? Those 1,004 book sales equated to $2,020 in income. For my fellow Brits, that's a little over £1,500. As you can see here, the income is pretty steady throughout the month, which is great to see. But that figure doesn't include my advertising costs and my expenses, so let's take a look at those now. In terms of ads, I spent $423 in the USA, £124 in the UK, $49 in Canada, and almost $7 in Australia. So I've included all the figures here. If you want to pause it and take a look for yourself, feel free, but I'm just going to skim over this. So you can see in the United States, I did manage 115 orders, but the ACoS was quite high. And that's because I tried my more aggressive launch strategy with a couple of my books. I did a Valentine's Day book and a fairy book. And unfortunately, while I did get a few sales, they were really unprofitable. So if you're listening to this, my advice would be don't go for those niches because they were very expensive. Towards the end of the month, I turned those ads off because they were so unprofitable. And as you can see in the UK and Canada, my ACoS was under 20%, which for me is generally profitable. And that's because I wasn't trying to launch my new colouring books in these territories. Really happy with the UK, that continues to be profitable. And Canada, again, the same thing. Now with Australia, my December was really amazing, and January's come back to normal where my ads just aren't serving that well. So that'll be one to keep an eye on in February. In terms of my ad spend and results, I had a little over 2,000 clicks, which is down from almost 6,000 in December last month. I spent around $620. I got 240 orders, which as you can see is a huge decrease from last month. But what's good to see is that's around 24% of sales. So around 3/4 of people are finding my books organically. And my estimated cost per sale using ads is around $2.60. Last month that was $1.13, which was generally profitable for me. $2.59 to get a sale is just not profitable. So it's a pretty bad month in terms of ads. And what I think I'll learn from that moving forward this year is if I've got a book that I think is super strong and has the potential to make me a lot of money, I'll probably wait till Q4 to release it. There seems to be a higher demand and ads tend to serve better and you tend to get more orders in Q4. Looking at the figures, I made $2,020 in income, spent $622 on ads. My expenses were $36, which is just my mid-journey account, leaving me with a take-home profit of $1,362. That's approximately £1,077. So my target for the month was $1,500 in profit. I didn't quite hit it, but that's mostly down to the increased ad spend for January. But what I like to do also is not just compare to the last month, it's also to compare to the last few months. So if we look back to August of last year, we can really see the growth on Amazon KDP. So back in August and September of last year, I was making around 400 sales per month. And now even in January, which is traditionally one of the hardest months on Amazon, I'm still getting 1,000 orders. So to go from a little under $200 profit a month to over $1,000 a month is still really, really promising. But you can also see on this the huge increase in November and December due to those holiday sales, and then the sharp decline back to reality in January. And then stepping back even further, it's great to see the growth year on year. So January 2023 last year, I had a lot fewer books out there and I actually only made 69 sales. I made an income of around $200 and my profit for January last year was $129, give or take. Comparing that to this year, you can see the huge growth. To go from 69 orders to over 1,000 and to go from $129 in profit to over $1,300 in profit is great growth and great progress. So my aim is to keep that growth going as well as I can, and I hope that when I come back to this in January 2025, we'll see even more growth as well. Wrapping up January, one of my key takeaways was the poor ad performance when I tried to launch 2 new colouring books. Let me know in the comments below how your ads did in January and if you saw a poor performance overall. As I mentioned, my UK ads still performed really well, but when I was trying to launch my 2 new colouring books, the ads just weren't profitable. As mentioned, the ads and the orders slowed down from Q4. However, my orders seem to have levelled at that sort of October level, which is great, and have not gone all the way back to what they were in June and July. So that's promising, and I hope that we can continue building throughout the year again, and then when we get to Q4 of 2024, it'll be an even bigger spike. And then comparing to January last year, I've seen a 10 times increase in both income and profit, which is brilliant. Taking a quick look into February, I've got less time on my hands, unfortunately, in February, so I'm going to try and get 4 books out there. I'm going to have the same aim of 900 book sales, but I want to try and achieve $1,500 in profit in February. And the way that I'm going to do that is to turn off the ads that aren't performing very well. Now, I hope that was useful. And if your January book sales have dried up a bit as well, welcome to the club. What I will say is just keep going, keep building, and those sales will come back later on in the year. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.